Hi, I'm Carrie. Welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I would share with you the decks that I'm using in my practice that I talked about briefly in my video to start the new year. And that practice is the one where I am working with Mother Mary and the goddess Hecate together and looking at it from kind of a shadow light aspect and working through some things in my life. I've done shadow work before, and I guess I would say this is kind of along the lines of shadow work a little bit, but instead of me like picking inner child work or a specific thing that is continually coming up, I'm kind of letting the oracle cards guide me. But so far, all of the cards that I have pulled have been shadow related to something that has happened within this past year of my life. And I'm really looking for patterns and cycles and looking to these two goddesses to give me the light aspect, the shadow aspect, and using tarot as kind of a bridge to work through that, come together, get an answer for it, however you want to look at that. So I just thought I would go ahead and show you and share with you the decks that I'm using in this practice. And I'll just give a very quick example in case that's something that interests you and how I am using the decks together. So the first two decks that I want to show are these two, and this is the Earth and Bone Oracle by Syrian Shadow, and this is a rock pool deck, and this is the Lost Oracle by Fiona Horn, also a rock pool deck. I thought these two oracles were the perfect jumping off point for these type of readings, so that's why I chose them. So this is like the first card that I pulled. This is the shadow that may be showing up because of this card. And when I show briefly at the end a quick explanation of the cards, then you'll see why I'm using these two together. And can I just say, you'll see that all the decks that I'm using actually have like this black, red, gray, khaki. This is black and blue, but still close enough coloring to them, which I think is, I don't know, it just syncs up together is the way that I see it. But I love both of these oracles. They are both new to my collection. Both of them I didn't get in until December of just this past year. So it's really cool to see them working side by side in conjunction with one another because of the messages that I am getting using these two decks. So these are my jumping off point oracles, is the Lost Oracle and the Earth and Bone Oracle. So the next two decks that I am using is the Mother Mary Oracle by Elena Fairchild. It's Blue Angel. I think everybody has seen this deck. I've talked about this deck numerous times before. And the Oracle of the Hekatean Path, which, let me just say, I've seen Hecate spelled with a K and with a C. I actually have books on this goddess. One it's spelled with a C and one it's spelled with a K. I tend to spell it with a C. So if anybody knows the difference or maybe what the correct spelling is, I'm curious to know. But anyway, this is the other deck I am using. This is Lo Scarabeo by Ken Payne and Chris Butler. I really do like this oracle. I was using this oracle for pulls whenever I just work with Hecate on her own. So I've been using this one for a few months. And look, this is black, like red and gray, and this is red with a little bit of black and the roses. So once I pull the first two oracle cards from the Earth and Bone and the Lost Oracle, then I turn to these two decks. And I ask Mother Mary for assistance, and I ask Hecate for assistance with whatever cards happen to be out on the table. And keep in mind that I am developing this practice basically from the ground up and figuring it out as I go. So things are going to ebb and flow in this practice, and there may be things that change later on. I may end up doing it differently later on, but I just wanted to show a concept, an idea that I've used to start this practice, and I'll see where it takes me and whatever adjustments I have to make, or maybe eliminating one deck, or however I choose to do it as the practice develops further. But these are the ones that I am using for right now. And the messages that have come through have been pretty spot on to where I'm at, and things that I know that I need to look at, and so on. So right now, this is what's working for me. And then did I say Hecate, kind of, I asked her advice to help me through that shadow aspect of whatever the earth and bone oracle card is. I have the small version of this that sits up by my bedside, and I've been using that deck as my nighttime card pool, along with my Power of Surrender cards. I've gotten back into that practice again. But man, I love this deck so much. But God, the cards stick together that it's not shuffleable for me because of that. That's my only frustration with it, but I adore it. I absolutely adore it. So that's these two decks. And then the final deck that I'm using is, let me get the book because I don't have this box, it's tucked away, is the Heaven and Earth Tarot by Jack Sephiroth and Jamie Elford. And this is also Lo Scarabeo. Picked this up off of Llewellyn. I don't know if this one's out of print or not. I don't know. But that's where I got it from. I got it from the Llewellyn site. Anyway, so how I'm pulling in the tarot is after I use those 4 oracle decks, then I go to the tarot card, and it's kind of the bridge. It's the bridge between what the Lost Oracle told me and the shadow from the Earth and Bone Oracle, and bridges the advice from Mother Mary and from Hecate, and how I can work through, whatever the oracle cards message was. So that's how I am using this deck, and I just thought this was the perfect deck, the Heaven and Earth. I just thought it was absolutely perfect to use in this scenario. I thought about using the Biblical Tarot, but I didn't think that would be a good enough bridge. And I even thought about pulling out like my Saucer Beto, because I use that deck for shadow work, or even the Vampire Tarot one, not the newer one, the older one that's out of print. I even thought about using that one because that one's like very shadowy for me when I use it, but neither one of those felt right. But this one, as soon as I picked it up out of my cupboard, I'm like, yes, this is the deck to use in this practice. I love these cards so much. So let me show you just a quick example of what I'm doing in this practice. So the way I'm working with all of these oracles is, like I said, I turn to the Lost Oracle and kind of ask, where am I at right now? Where am I at on this road? Where am I at in my progress forward? And what is hindering me? The question changes every single time I do it. So it just depends on what I'm feeling at the time. If I'm feeling stuck, or if I'm feeling like I'm repeating some sort of cycle or something, then that's the question that I ask. And then I pull this card out. So this is Harvest Ritual, Trust the Endings in Life. Now, I would read through the guidebook, but I'm going to save time and not do any of that today. So Trust the Endings of Life, I would go to the guidebook. I would see what stood out to me there. If there was like multiple different things, I would make note of that in order to pull a tarot for each of those, but we're just going to say that it's about trusting the ending. So I'm having a difficult time processing endings, we'll say, and that's what it wants to speak to me about. So then that's when I pull out the earth and bone and I ask, what is the shadow that is underneath this endings? Why am I having a problem with trusting the endings? Why am I repeating cycles and not letting things end? And this happened to be the card that came out for that, and it's Burrow. And it says exhaustion, questioning motivations, realignment. I don't think there could be a more perfect card to come out than that one, because that really speaks to why I can't let things go. I'm tired. Maybe it's been a difficult thing that I've been through and put a lot of time and energy in, and maybe that's the reason I don't want to let it go. Maybe I am having a hard time seeing what I need to realign with or get into alignment with. That may be part of the problem. Maybe I'm spending so much time questioning what the motivations of someone else was that maybe walked out of my life, or whatever that may be. I just thought that was, when I was pulling these for examples, that couldn't be more fitting. So there's my shadow. There's the underlying current of why I am having issues with endings in my life, why I cannot progress to the next step, and then repeating cycles. So then I pull out my Mother Mary and I go to her and I ask, what is the light of this situation? What am I missing? What am I not stepping into that you can bring forward and bring to light for me in regards to ending? So it's Our Lady of Love. So your guidebook entry is extremely in depth when it comes to this deck, and there's even a healing process and affirmations for each one of these cards. But basically, the Lady of Love is trying to look at the situation through that lens of love, acknowledging the love of spirit, that sort of thing, the love and support that you may have in the situation that you're unable to see, and whatever that may be. Okay, so that's how I would see that. Then I would pull out the deck of the Hekatean, the Oracle of the Hekatean path, and ask the goddess Hecate, what can you bring forward about the shadow? Why am I stuck processing in exhaustion, in a state of exhaustion, or questioning in regards to these endings? And this is the card that came out for the example, and it's bondage. And the guidebook for this one is, the entries are small. So for here, it talks about cords and bondage, and it talks about avoid becoming trapped. You may feel that your hands are bound, but who tied them? Did we make a promise or we feel obligated to keep? And when I look at that and I think about that, that fits so well with this questioning motivations, realignment, exhaustion, and why someone would have a hard time, or why I would have a hard time of letting go. Especially, like I said, if I am tied to this and I invested all this time and this energy into this person or into this situation, and now here, the reason I can't get out of this shadow, out of this stage and move forward, is because I'm still keeping myself tied to it. So when you look at that and you look at Mother Mary, who's telling me to step into a place of love, step into a place of understanding through a lens of love, and Hecate is bringing forward that I am focusing on the obligation, the things that I was latched onto, the cords that I've attached to myself in regards to things that needed to end. It really brings to light issues that are coming up. And like I said, this is an example, but I've only done maybe 2 or 3 readings so far with this, and they've all spoken to me the exact same way. So then I come down to my tarot, and the question changes, of course, depending on what the cards are on the table. So what do I need to know about these endings in my life that I can look at through a place of love. So it's the Six of Pentacles, and I'm looking at this, and one of the things that came to mind immediately when I shuffled and pulled this card for this example was evaluating or gauging my worth, because we've got these scales here, of maybe gauging my worth and maybe not feeling valued in these endings because they're ending. Maybe someone I feel didn't take me seriously, or whatever the situation may have been, and how much I gave and how much I devoted, and the time and energy that I poured into that from myself. And that is something that I need to look at from a place of love, that I gave myself fully to whatever this situation was that needs to come to an end. And I need to not think less of myself because I gave myself to that, because maybe I was acting out of a place of love. And I need to see that and acknowledge that and know that I did what I could do in that situation. And then I look over here as far as how can I dig myself out of this burrow? How can I rise up out of this? And I pulled the Ace of Swords. So this is a new way of thinking, your new thoughts, a different thought pattern. Knowing your worth, knowing your value, knowing that you gave your all in the situation instead of thinking that you didn't do enough to keep that in your life. That sort of thing. And then if I wanted to get more information, I could pull some more cards, and these are the next three cards that came out, and I will stick them here in the middle so you can see. So maybe I need to, get a plan in place of where I want to go from here. If I'm going to move on from this ending, where am I going to go from here? Who do I have in my corner that can support me with that Three of Pentacles energy? Is there someone there that is supporting me, that is helping me see my strengths, that is helping me focus on those areas and not my weaknesses? And knowing with this Ace of Swords that I need a new thought pattern, that I need to process this grief, process this ending, and move on from it fully. And that is how I'm using these 5 decks together. And the readings are very profound and they're very insightful, and I'm really loving the process of all of this, especially when I bring in the tarot at the very end of how to, process that loss and dig myself out of the burrow, and whatever the questions may be. Like I said, depending on whatever cards come out, the questions shift and change every time, but these are the core decks that I am using for this practice. And they're very, like I said, I'm feeling very fulfilled, very satisfied with the way that the cards are coming out. I don't feel confused by them, or, why would Mother Mary be saying this, or Hecate, or whatever the scenario may be. I am feeling lifted, I guess, through these readings, and maybe processing some of these shadow feelings and getting some direction forward. So you'll have to let me know if you have these decks, if you would use these decks in this way, or what you thought of working with 2 goddesses side by side. I'm considering Mother Mary a goddess, but, however you view her. Or do you feel like too many decks like this is too much, too overwhelming, too confusing, and that sort of thing? I hope I explained it in a simplified manner for you. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate you being here. If you like my video, give it a thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. Subscribe and all that happy YouTube stuff. And until I see you next time, bye.